This episode of Walt Disney World Today is sponsored by MEI and MouseFan Travel, who specialize in cruises and vacation packages to Disney and other destinations around the world. MEI and MouseFan Travel is an authorized Disney vacation planner and the recommended vacation planner for allears.net. They provide their signature services with no additional agency fees. To get your free no-obligation quote, visit www.mousefantravel.com.
This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Wednesday, January 16th, 2008, and this is episode 358 of Walt Disney World Today. I'm Matt Hodgenberg from StudioCentral.com. On the show today, we have the fabulous Len Testa of TouringPlans.com. How are you, Len?
Good. How's it going, Matt?
Outstanding. Also on the show today, we have Mike Scopa of All Ears Net. Welcome, Mike.
The human world is a mess. Life under the sea is better than anything they got up there.
Little Mermaid?
Voyage of the Little Mermaid. Yes.
Very good. I was going to go with Spectrum Magic. I thought maybe you were trying to throw us off there.
Close.
On today's show, it's Wednesday, and that means we're going to be answering your listener questions. And the first email comes from Jonathan Schloss of Atlanta, Georgia, who writes, just started listening to a bunch of your episodes last week and loved the show. My wife and I lived in Orlando from 1997 to 2000 and worked at both Universal and Disney, so we know the parks really well. However, as we gear up to take the kids on a trip in a few weeks, we find the unofficial guide indispensable. Not to mention, it was great 10 years ago as a resource when we moved down here. We also find your podcast enjoyable, interesting, and best of all, helpful. We look forward to listening to a slew of them on our drive down from Atlanta while the kids are in the back watching Disney DVDs with their headphones. On to my questions. I'll be traveling to Walt Disney World on January 19th to the 22nd. My kids are 17 months and a 5-year-old, and my nephews are 11 and 14. We travel well together, so choosing age-appropriate attractions at each park is not a real concern. As well, we plan to use our 17-month-old to take advantage of baby swapping at most attractions to maximize the experience. Here are questions. Are the best days for each park given normal crowd patterns, and what are the best days around Martin Luther King's birthday weekend given normal crowd patterns? Will there be much of a surge that holiday weekend?
I think we've answered this the question around Martin Luther King Day before. I don't think there's an increase in crowds for Martin Luther King Day because, and I think you guys agree with me on this, anyone who's going to blow that kind of money on a Walt Disney World vacation is going to do it either over Christmas when they can stay longer or over Easter when they can stay longer. So we're really not expecting a huge increase in crowds for Martin Luther King Day. In fact, I think we're expecting 4s, 5s, and 6s for the whole week.
I agree, Lynn. Is that this weekend coming up?
Yeah, so 6 is on the weekend, 4 actually on Monday. Again, if you're coming from out of state and you're working, if you've got a 3-day weekend, you're traveling back on Monday.
I agree with what you said, Lynn, because I would say that this past weekend with the marathon, I wouldn't have even given it a 6 the whole, every day.
What was the longest wait time that you saw?
Oh man,
maybe. Soarin' had like a 25-minute wait in the afternoon. I was having dinner with Newell, and I peeked. We were at Sunshine Season, and I peeked over my shoulder, and it was down to 25 minutes, which
not bad at all.
Yeah, that's something. So
yeah, I mean, this is sort of the slow time. I think that's why they put Pirates and Princess out now to get a little bit more revenue too.
Well, I would say that I wouldn't have any concern about the weekend. Martin Luther King.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Jonathan also wants to know, in fact, do you think we'll even need to rely on recommended touring plans during Martin Luther King weekend to maximize our visit? Or is attendance still significantly lower and usually on par with other January weeks?
It's usually other January weeks. The thing with the touring plan is if you do the first few steps, even the first 5 steps, you're really through all the bottlenecks in the first 5 steps, and then you can sort of take stock of where you're at. And if you're through 5 or 6 steps of the plan and you're not encountering any significant waits, you can start to wing it a little bit. Again, if you're past Dumbo in Fantasyland and you're through most of Fantasyland, at least all the slow loading attractions like Pooh and Pan and stuff like that, and Teacups, once you're through that, really the rest of the day is pretty much easy. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it so much, but definitely try the plan at least to begin with.
The only other thing I'd like to add is that I would still say, get up early and get there when the park opens. Other than that, shouldn't have any problem.
Next email is from Beth from Orlando, and Len, this name should ring a bell for you, because let me read the email, and I think you're going to catch on very quickly. Hi, guys. Even though you misled me on the Gravlax way back when, I remained a loyal listener thanks to the great podcast.
Awesome. Awesome.
For those who don't know, this goes back to like our first listener question show. Beth emailed us about what's good to eat at Food and Wine, and Len recommended the Gravlax. And Beth tried to get it, and they didn't have it that year.
They didn't have it that one.
So.
Although oddly, coincidentally, it happened on our first listener show, and amazingly, I haven't been wrong since then. Isn't that odd?
Let
Right.
me circle my calendar.
Right. Right. I mean, on this show so far.
Beth wants to know two things. I had a tough time making candlelight processional dinner reservations this year, and hoping you can give me advice for next year. And I want to tell you about something new about Spaceship Earth. It might be old news by the time you read this, but what the heck. Regarding the processional, I tried calling on July 5th to make a reservation for the candlelight processional for my family of 6 people. We live in Orlando and could attend on any date, but we could only attend the 6:45 p.m. show. We have after 4 p.m. passes, so the lunch reservations were out, and with little kids and 80-something grandparents, the latter show was out too. We were hoping to have a dinner at Beer Garden, and we did prefer some speakers over others. When I called, the cast member told me that the 6:45 Candlelight Processional Theater had availability, but there was no dinner reservations available at Beer Garden for preferred nights. So I said, okay, tell me what restaurants do have dinner reservations for that night. And the cast member said none did. So then I said, okay, tell me what nights there are any reservations available at any restaurants in the park. And the cast member said there were no dinner reservations available at any restaurant on any candlelight processional night. There were seats in the theater, but no possibility of dinner reservations. My husband and I called back repeatedly over the next few days, hoping to hear better news from someone, but everyone gave us the same story. The best we could do, they said, was wait until December and try for a cancellation. So, here's my question. How does it happen that all the restaurants in Epcot, with all their hundreds of seats, were completely reserved with the candlelight processional with many fewer seats was not full? Could this have been a mistake? Should we have asked to speak to a manager or something?
I think
Do
what
they
happened.
hold?
Go ahead, Len.
Do they hold back some of the seats for the dinner packages?
Well, I don't think I think they have like X amount of seats per restaurant for the dinner package, because obviously there's many more seats in the restaurants than there are available for a showing of Candlelight Processional, right?
Oh, right. So they could, right. So yeah, but still, I mean, it's not like they're allocating 6 seats at every dinner restaurant, is it? I mean,
right. I mean, I would think it'd be
if you've got let's say 400 seats in the theater, right? It's not like they're dividing that 400 up evenly among Nine Dragons, Marrakesh, Japan, and everything else.
I mean, what really gets me is that she called in July 5th, to try to make these, and this is what happened. I mean, it's one thing someone calls in October or November or something, and her follow-up question is, how can she best maximize her chances of actually getting reservations next year?
Well, I'd call in June.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess you gotta be watching. I would definitely be watching
have to be
the dates. I mean, sign up for a newsletter like the All Ears Net newsletter or Mouse Savers. They have a newsletter on there, and so you'll know really exactly when it comes out. Another thing you might consider is a good travel agent. They may be able to advise you in terms of, keeping a track for you, so that you can tell them, okay, I want to have dinner reservations here on this trip for Candlelight Processional. And they're the ones that'll wake up at 7 a.m. when the availability is open and book it for you. So,
cool. I think that's good advice.
yeah, thank you. Next email is from Gary from Staten Island.
Yeah.
Question regarding the Great Movie Ride. Let's get
The Great Movie Lie.
Great question about the Great Movie Ride. Let's get rid of great and change the dull. Is it due for a major rehab? Is this in the mix since the studios is in for a transformation? Thanks. Well, I can tell you that there are no plans to change the Great Movie Ride, to a significant level anytime soon. I really don't think it's going to be happening. It's not even on the map, in terms of things that are going to be changing at the studios. I don't know. I wouldn't call it dull. I really like the Great Movie Ride. I think it's good. I like the scenes. I've been privy to some good cast members who have done some really good jobs in terms of their roles. The tour guide as well as the gangster or the cowboy, depending on which one I get.
Yeah, nothing goes wrong on the Great Movie Ride, right, Matt?
Of course not. There's no such thing as audio problems.
Yeah, by the way.
Yeah.
or smoke or anything like that.
Yeah. No, but I like it. I don't think it's dull. I think it's and
Oh my god, really? Might as well be sponsored by Sominex.
oh come on, Len. You of all people have to have an appreciation for the great movie, right? I mean, it's first of all, it doesn't sell out like many of the other attractions that promote any kind of other film. It's not a shill for these films. It's promoting classic films, and they're not all Disney, which is even better.
Yeah, they're not all Disney, and granted, it is the little piece of sanity or of external references and otherwise overhyped park or overhyped Disneyfication of the park. Although the end film really is sort of pretty strong on Disney. The thing is all of those films date back like to the late 70s, early 80s, and it's just so hard for them to change out those attractions. Like now, I don't know of anyone who would understand who Busby Berkeley is, or even James Cagney. That generation is
Johnny Weissmuller.
Johnny Weissmuller, exactly. That's not the generation that's in the theme parks for the most part, right now.
Right, but then according to that theory, no one would know who Snow White is because that movie was from 1939.
You do have to bring up a good point, don't you, Hodgford?
But you see Snow White throughout. You don't see Johnny Weissmuller throughout.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't see Johnny Weissmuller as a meet and greet.
Disney's done a much better job of keeping Snow White relevant in the public's mind than maybe MGM has with Johnny Weissmuller.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with you guys that there are some of the films, especially Tarzan, the Public Enemy references. These are films that are I haven't even seen them, and I like it, but I think it's good. I think it's good that they have them around.
Yeah, I mean, acknowledging Hollywood film history is definitely a good idea. The thing I would like to see is let's just not restrict it to Disney and MGM, but why not do all movies? Because I think it'd be better if it was just a celebration of movies. Of course, that's what you get at the Oscars anyway. So
the title of the attraction is the Great Movie Ride, and again,
right, it's not the Great MGM Movie Ride or the Great Disney Movie Ride.
Yeah, it's a salute to the classic movies, and although I think that the argument can be made that there are classic movies that have been made since this attraction opened that could very well be candidates for a revision or a refurbishment or an upgrade to the attraction, and I'm hoping that somewhere over the next 5 years that they take that into consideration, because otherwise there will not be as deep an appreciation for what's there now down the road, because the number of guests who are going through may not know who Johnny Weissmuller was or Busby Berkeley.
Next email's from Jamie and Veronica from New York, who also run their the Crown Cast, which is a great podcast if you're interested in going on the Royal Caribbean cruise line. And they write, I don't know how much feedback you guys get on the advice you give out, so here's a review of some of the advice you gave us for our last September trip and how it worked out. Matt, really tried hard at MGM, but showed up for extra magic hours, torrential rain, poncho leaked, buy digital camera, rock and roller coaster down, Tower of Terror, no-go for our group, and when we did Star Tours twice in a row, cowered from Lightning and Muppets, and 45 minutes to next Little Mermaid show, gave up and went back to the room. Sorry, we will go back and try again next time. Well, rain never makes any park a good go of it, so that's obviously going to hamper you. But the other thing is, with the studios, you've got to try everything. I mean, even if you hate Tower of Terror, if there's someone in your party who doesn't want to ride, remember, they can go with you all the way to the point where you actually have to get on the ride, and then you just say that the person can say, they can take the exit. They don't want to ride, and they'll meet you right, down at the exit, which is great because they'll be able to see all that great theming and the pre-show and everything. They don't have to wait outside and be bored. Mike Newell, spent some time in Mouse Gears and Epcot. Yes, some time and a lot of money. Well, thanks. That's really great. Mike Scopa, you always have invaluable advice here and on your blog, but the information on the refurbishments and the overwhelming amount of them during this time period helped set our expectations so that we encountered them, a lot of them. We were not disappointed. Great insight.
I like that letter.
And for Len, besides the guide, which is invaluable, the comment you made going to Walt Disney World with just you and your daughter was something that had never crossed my mind. When the opportunity presented itself and my daughter and I were able to go down for a single day before my wife and spend the afternoon and evening at Animal Kingdom together, it was wonderful. We do get to spend a fair amount of time together during the regular school weeks, but this was an opportunity to slow down and just enjoy the park with her and spend some time together, which was priceless.
Cool.
You guys always do a great job, but your device seemed to line up with this trip just perfectly. All the advice, everything from the behind-the-scenes tour to the go to Nine Dragons when all else fails for a sit-down meal worked out for us. So from our little group of travelers, thank you.
Awesome. I wonder, did they say that they ate anything on the behind-the-scenes tour? You know, the samples that you're not supposed to take?
I don't think so.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, too bad. It's their loss, really, right?
Exactly.
Next email is from Jack in Nice Winter, who writes, in episode 320, you talked about closing the Magic Kingdom. I don't know about closing the Magic Kingdom, but we closed Epcot one night. I can tell you that the very nice men dressed in suits and riding segways escorted us to the exit. Not only did we not receive certificates, but they refused to stamp my hand for readmission. I did, however, get a great picture of our cars being the only ones left in the Epcot parking lot. I enjoyed the podcast. Keep up the great work.
That never happens to me.
Next email's from Ross Stonefield of Boston, Massachusetts, who writes, Gentlemen, my wife and I will be in Epcot on Friday, November 16th, and would like to see Illuminations. I have heard many tips on the best place to see the show, all conflicting. However, I would like your advice. Other than eating at the Rose and Crown, where everyone says you cannot request an outdoor table, you have to lock it out, is there any place you can view the show without lining up an hour or more early? We're staying at the Swan, so we will walk back to the hotel after the show.
When is he going, Matt?
November 16th.
Shouldn't be a problem. I would defer to Len regarding what kind of crowds are expected that day. Walking around World Showcase a few nights ago, it wasn't crowded at all. I don't think there were any places where I saw it was more than 2 deep at all.
What day,
and
November?
I'm guessing
November 16th.
Yeah.
It's about a 7 on the crowd calendar, which is average.
Yeah, what day of the week is it?
16th?
Friday, I think you said.
That would be an issue.
One of the areas I always like to go to is around Germany. I find it.
Really? Germany?
Yeah, it's decent. I mean, there's not a lot of obstructions over there because, around China and everything, it's Tree City, so you can't see anything. I mean, you're gonna have an obstructed view over there. But in Germany, there's some good areas you can watch from over there, and I enjoy watching it generally from over there.
I don't think I've ever seen the Illuminations from there.
You never saw From the Fatherland?
No, exactly.
I mean, that's a good spot, I think, in terms of trying to find. I mean, it depends what you consider last minute. Some people think, I mean, obviously you don't want to wait an hour. Okay. I mean, is 30 minutes acceptable? Is 10 minutes acceptable? When all else fails, the spot that I like, I mean, this is like the least, when all else fails, again, near the entrance where World Showcase meets Future World, where the Lights of Winter usually are.
Mm-hmm.
If you stand, there's 2 fences. One's towards the lake and one's towards Future World. If you stand around the gate, the fence rather, that's near Future World, you can usually have a decent vantage point from that point. Not too much obstruction also going on over there. So that might be a decent one.
Over there.
There was also
can you see it over by the seats by the outpost?
There may be, but I'm not sure about obstructions. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, that's
Next email's from Kevin from Fort Wayne, Indiana, who writes, Matt, Len, Mike, and Mr. Scopa. After listening to your Mystery Science Theater 3000 episode on Muppets 3D, I have 2 questions. What do you think about an updating of the movie, with the original still being shown at certain times? I like it. I don't think it needs an update. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing.
You don't think it needs what?
An update. I don't think it needs an update for Muppet Vision.
Really? See, the whole 3D effect to me is just so 1980s.
I know, but what's great about it is they poke fun at it. They're not taking themselves seriously with it, which just makes it.
Yeah, but you could update it. And I mean, it's not a real Muppet. I mean, he doesn't have the personality of the other Muppet characters. He's not.
Well, you're talking about Waldo.
Waldo, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would love. I mean, I'm all for new Muppet stuff, but it's a classic, and I'm not. I don't know.
It's a classic.
I have very little faith that they do
another. They could definitely do another 3D movie and then update the gags and stuff like that. I think Waldo's past his prime. I mean, it's like breakdancing.
He's the sheriff.
That is a good point. I think it could. I think I agree with Len. I think I would like to see. I mean, I would miss this one though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would miss it.
I'm not saying to get rid of it. I'm saying we need to update the film.
Well, Kevin has another question. I'm going to have Len answer this one. On WDW Today, which Mystery Science Theater 3000 character would you be? Mike, Crow, Tom Servo, or even Gypsy?
Tom Servo.
That's right. Good answer. That's why we have him on the show every week. Next email's from Mary from Ontario, Canada. I've been a fan of the podcast for a few months now and gotten myself pretty much caught up. Anyways.
She's been listening for years, but she's only been a fan for a couple months.
That's right. Anyway, I've been a frequent traveler to Walt Disney World and have been every year since I was 5. I was just wondering if there are any fairly reliable websites out there that give information about upcoming attractions and renovations of the current ones and approximate when they'll be occurring. I know of a few, such as Toy Story Interactive Ride at the Studios in 2008, but I'd love to know more. I'm heading back to the world. Well, let's answer that question before we get to the next one. So websites about upcoming attractions and renovations of the current ones.
That letter sounds familiar. Len, did we do this one?
I don't remember this one.
Well, let's answer this one. I mean, I think the de facto website, if you're looking for that kind of information, it's got to be www.magic.com, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely Steve's website. Yeah. Look at the news and rumors section.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the place to go look for. There's other places I look for information, but I'd be lying if I said there was a better resource out there or anything that's really comparable to it. It's just, you pick up bits and pieces elsewhere. And because I'm on the podcast, I will shamelessly plug my my site. I have a little area about upcoming attractions and renovations to current attractions at the studios. I'll link in the show notes to you. Mary also wants to know, I'm heading back to the world in early February of 2008. Also, any chance of them bringing back classic celebrations such as Mickey's birthday party from 1990? I doubt it, but never hurts to ask.
Oh.
Your doubts are correct, Mary. I really don't think that'll be coming back anytime soon.
No. Unless they can figure out who bought all that stuff from Mouse Surplus and.
It's probably Newell.
Newell. It'd be like Pirates of the Caribbean in reverse. We need this parade.
They're gonna have the Newell has the what was that show that they showed in Illuminate over on the World Showcase Lagoon with the skiing? I know he's got all this stuff in his backyard. I've seen it.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got a little lake over there. He does little shows.
Splashtacular?
Yeah, he's got Splashtacular in his. Just go visit him. He loves visitors, random ones, in fact.
You mentioned that last night at dinner. Splashtacular. It's like,
see,
come on,
there you go.
It's the year 2008. Come on.
Next email is from Jessica. All right, hey guys. First off, I love the show. Second, I just need to voice my opinion on young kids under 5 in Disney. I brought my daughter 3 times, once at 11 months, 2.5, and now we're going and she'll be 5. I also have a second daughter who will be 15 months when we go in soon. My oldest remembers so much from our last trip. I say if you can afford to take them when they're young, it doesn't matter if they get cranky or if they don't remember all the magic that they see, you can tell them the stories that will last forever. Sure, you have to bring extra bags and such, but just be prepared for anything and enjoy life with them as they grow up way too fast. Thanks for hearing my opinion. Good luck with the show.
Yeah, I can see it.
Well, there's a certain cranky person on this podcast that generally shares the opposite theory on that. Scobie, still sticking with your guns?
Yes, I am.
All right. Next email is from David Patterson, who writes, in regards to something Scopa said, he was answering a question about taking really young children to the Christmas special at Walt Disney World and said, if you can't remember it, why pay for it? First thing that came to my mind was, good thing I don't use that advice when it comes to drinking.
You can't use it?
If you can't remember it, don't use it. Or if I can't remember it, why pay for it?
Oh, that's awesome.
There you go.
Awesome.
See, Scopa, there's another hole in that
Well, the best memories I have are of nights I can't remember anything.
Oh, man.
Next email is from Daphne Neubauer, who writes, hi. I'm a longtime listener to your podcast, and I've often wondered if you would accept a woman perspective on some of your listener questions. I was listening to your advice to a family about wanting to take your children to Walt Disney World until they get older. I have taken my children to Disney at all ages from ages 6 months to 18 years. Granted, the 6-month-old remembers nothing of the trip. Memories of my family seeing parades and videotaping the interaction between the characters and the baby are priceless. Disney is the best place to take small children on a vacation because of all the wonderful support the parks give to parents. You have baby swap on the rides, the child care centers, and family entertainment. Well, we've got 4 people on this show, and I don't think we quite cover all the opinions of guys. And we do bring on women from time to time, to bring out a different perspective. I think that everybody has a different perspective regardless of gender. So, and there's no way we'll be able to cover them all. But Len is very much in touch with his feminine side, so it works out.
In fact, as we're speaking right now, I'm actually doing my nails. Where's Annette been, by the way?
I think she's been in a backseat somewhere.
You said it, not me.
Daphne also wants to write. Also, you had a listener wondering if they should rent a grand villa or 3 hotel rooms for their family a vacation of 10 days. The extra room and extras in a villa make your vacation 1,000 times more enjoyable, especially when you have different age ranges. So,
yeah, I mean, don't you get to you get? Yeah, I think that'd also go along with the villa too. Was that on the show when we answered that question?
Quite possibly.
That was definitely the way to go.
You know, Len, you should never pay for things that you're not going to remember.
Exactly. I should probably stop drinking now too.
Next email is from Bob from Ottawa, Canada, who writes, "Hey Matt, Mike, and Len, go Habs. I have a couple of things. I'll be in Walt Disney.
No sends. Go ahead.
I'll be in Walt Disney World in January. I don't know why people diss your response time on emails. Maybe they don't send the question more than a week before they go. You've always responded to me in plenty of time. Just rambling. Sorry. We're staying at Scopa Towers. Anywho." It will be my wife's birthday, and while we are there, I made an ADR for California Grill for that night. I've never been there, so this is a good choice. So is this a good choice for the type of romantic evening, or do you, Casanovas, recommend somewhere else on or even off property considering the pricing?
Well, California Grill is very... I don't know if it's the most romantic place I would go.
Where else would you consider?
As far as romantic...
I mean, the thing is, it's relatively quiet. It's...
What, California Grill?
I would say the only other option...
But go ahead.
Yeah, no, I would say, what is it, Artist Point? What's the one in Wilderness Lodge? I was confused with Artist.
No, that's true.
What about Chico? I mean, Chico would be... Chico's not bad, but you really gotta like the food, and I don't, so... I mean, if you're looking at the menu, it's probably got the safest menu. Citrico's wouldn't be bad. Neither would Victoria and Albert's, but Victoria and Albert's $125 a pop.
Citrico's kind of expensive too.
Yeah, but Citrico's isn't bad. The thing is, Citrico's is sort of a bigger room and it's noisy. California Grill, I think, is a little bit more quiet. It could really be Narcoossee's. I mean, all joking aside, because that is quiet and romantic. I mean, it's a relatively small restaurant too. But in terms of wow factor, you can't get much better than the top floor of the Contemporary, especially with the fireworks.
Yeah, if you could time it with the fireworks, that'd be great.
Exactly, and I think the menu too is there's enough variety in the menu. I mean, it's got filet, you've got chicken, you've got vegetarian stuff with ravioli, you've got pork, you've got fish, you got enough for everyone there. The desserts look to be pretty good. It's got a decent wine list. I think you really can't go wrong there. I think it's a good choice.
Good. P.S. The WDW Today theme song that listener came up with is awesome. After laughing and listening to you guys, it's great to hear it when you sometimes play it after the show. Newell, play it after the show. Next email is from Mike from Rochester, New York. Sounds kind of familiar. Hello, guys. I just got done listening to your episode where you talk about the scary restaurants. Matt, you had said that you guys had been there 2 times. One time you had a bad experience and they're good. You had mentioned that maybe there's a different chef. Depending on when you went, I have read that during this calendar year, Chico's head chef left and was replaced by someone new. Could explain why you had a bad experience, Len. My wife and I dined there on our honeymoon back in 2005 and had a great time, and getting a card signed by everyone who worked there in their native language unexpectedly just topped it off. Plus, I'm new to listening to your podcast and would like to know the joke about Narcoossee's. Love the show. Keep up the great work. Regarding the chef change, it sounds like it said I don't know. It sounds like the chef was better many years ago and then has gotten worse, which would be the opposite of what happened to me. Len and we ate there. When was it, Len? Mousefest 2006?
Yeah, so it was about a little over a year ago. But I think the chef changed in 2007, didn't it? So after we went.
Yeah, and I ate there again early 2007. I think it was in February, in fact, and had a much better experience.
Huh.
So, there you go. The Narcoossee's joke.
What episode is it?
It's an older episode. I don't know. Someone will find it.
We'll have to go back and look. It's
like 127. Basically,
you gotta listen. You gotta listen.
You gotta listen to it.
Listen to the older shows. They're much more.
It was just a misunderstanding, but it was one of the funniest episodes we've ever done.
There you go. Next email is from Chris from Del City, Oklahoma. Writes, do cast members get any discounts on park admission, rooms, tours, etc. if they purchase or reserve any of these items for friends, and or family? If so, how much of a discount? Thanks for all your efforts in putting together each podcast.
Is it annual pass holders? Is that the question?
Now, do cast members get any discounts on that stuff?
There is a cast member discount, but I don't know if it's for family and...
I know that for rooms...
It might be, yeah.
For rooms, cast members have to actually be staying in the rooms in order to get the discount.
Well, I mean, what are they going to check? Is there a bed?
No, I take that back. That's false. I'm being informed that it's not true. In fact, they can get discounts for other people up to 40% off.
Let's get a hotline to the cast member information.
And, of course, only on certain times of the year. It's almost like I'm getting the information from somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm just channeling cast
You're
members.
channeling it, yeah.
Yeah, almost like you know someone.
Yeah, almost. I mean, they get discounts on a lot.
Someone.
They get discounts on a lot of the things. Yes. It can vary. It depends on what's available, time of year, obviously. But yeah.
I'm glad we didn't Marissa that question.
Next email is from Jenny from Pennsylvania. Writes, Mongello, everyone, Mongello. My fiance and I will be honeymooning in Disney World this July. We were planning on staying at the Caribbean Beach Resort. I learned from your show, which is great, that the main pool will be closed. We plan on spending the majority of our time in the parks, but I was looking forward to spending at least a little time in the pools. I know that the quiet pool will be open, but I'm sure that it'll be crowded in the heat of summer. Has there been any word as to discounts that might be offered to Caribbean Beach Resort guests because of the closing? Should we consider another resort or save some money and deal with the noisy pools filled to capacity during the few hours we might use the pool? If we should pick another moderate resort, which one would you suggest?
So I think we talked about this on a previous show. The moderate resorts that do best in the guides reader surveys are Port Orleans French Quarter, Port Orleans Riverside, Caribbean Beach, and then Coronado Springs. So if you can transfer over to one of the Port Orleans resorts, generally speaking, you'll on average be happier than if you stay at Caribbean Beach. We had some folks though who are staying at, is it French Quarter that's going through the pool refurb in February? And they called and said that they weren't happy with knowing that the main pool had been refurbished. Disney ended up offering them to move them to another resort, which they didn't want to do because they were already at their favorite resort. Or they gave them $25 per person per stay. Right. And so that's what I would say. Go back.
I mean, in terms of changing, or that's good advice, Len. You can always, obviously, if you want to stay at Caribbean Beach, that might be a good option. I would go to Port Orleans French Quarter. I like their pool. Obviously, it's a very small resort, and since you're honeymooning there, it's not going to be as crowded as some of the other resorts, so it'll have a little more of a sense of, it being, what's the word I'm looking for? Romantic to an extent, because there's not as many people around. If I was going to switch, I would switch. Otherwise, you might consider taking what Len is, saying right there. Call up, maybe see if they're going to give you any kind of, discount, given that the pool is closed. Kind of hint at what Len was hinting at, and that might do you well right there. Well, that's it for us today. If you want to find our older episodes, read our show notes, or send us your comments, visit the Walt Disney World Today website at wdwtoday.com. You can also email us at questions@wdwtoday.com. For Len Testa, Mike Scopa, and Mike Newell, I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you on the next show.
This has been a production of Mouse World Radio. This episode of Walt Disney World Today is sponsored by MEI and MouseFan Travel, who specialize in cruises and vacation packages to Disney and other destinations around the world. MEI and MouseFan Travel is an authorized Disney vacation planner and the recommended vacation planner for allears.net. They provide their signature services with no additional agency fees. To get your free no-obligation quote, visit www.mousefantravel.com.
Your next vacation time is so far away. You're counting down the seconds every single day. What are you to do? Well, there's one venue I recommend you turn to, where your magic withdrawal will finally be cured. Spend 3 days a week with Super Walt Disney World nerds. You can depend on Matt, Mike, and WDW today. Oh, WDW today. Oh, WDW today. When you are in trouble, songs, and then he will provide plugs for touringplans.com and the unofficial guide. If we can dream it, then we can do it. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. That's still convinced that you move on the hydrolators and eat Salumangello for a box of Wonka bars. When you introduce your co-host tonight, please get their websites right. Even with nervous breakdowns, the words are non-stop. Forget Space Mountain, point him to the camera shop. Or he'll just go next to that freaking bush to fill up Mouse World Radio. Dr. Scopa grew up in the Garden of Eden. He'd eat a Scopa special, then a Dole Whip in the sun. Skip Animal Kingdom and stay at Scopa Towers tonight. Unfortunately, Scopa is right. WDW today. Oh, WDW today. Oh, WDW today. When you are in trouble, you'll find WDW today. They'll send you to Narcoossee's table for two, you'll have fun. Oh, yeah. They'll bulldoze Chester and Hester and rebuild Horizon. Listen on Wednesdays and maybe you'll hear last year's questions. Oh. But that's just part of what makes this podcast the best one. WDW today. WDW today. WDW today. Give them 5 minutes. And give you at WDW today.